Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to my first YouTube video where I am talking for Essence and Resurrected. First of all, I want to apologize that the guide needed so long to come out basically. I had some real life stuff the last 2 months and was pretty busy, so I didn't want to release the guide unfinished, and that's the reason why I really wanted to finish the guide with the endgame gearing, and this I will show you in this video today. So the endgame gearing section, I decided to not make a written guide of it because this would basically make like 30 plus pages written guide or something like this to write all down. And I think for the endgame gearing, a YouTube video showcasing it with like I would say for this build and for this endgame version, this is the starter version, like disclaimer, starter version, and the next short video will be the fully optimized endgame. In both of these videos, I will do a quick showcase run later. But before we start, I just want quickly to show you guys the like a little, let's say, review of the guide, just to go quickly over it. I have made about 6 points, actually 5 points. So basically gearing the 6th and the 7th point will be also included in the video. So again, this would be like way too much written guide, and I think for like early game build overview, step priority, skill tree early game, it is a very good point to make a written guide so that you guys have like a good understanding of how this build can work. And if your video maybe is for some people like too fast, or they are annoyed of like stopping every time, I think this is like a good kind of 50-50 thing. So basically, like the build overview, like basic stuff of the build itself, step priorities, etc. in written guide, and the endgame gearing with the crafting system. So like which dragon stones we will add, advanced forging, etc. and mercenary setup will be added in the video. So here I'm just basically like making the strengths and the weaknesses of the build, comparing each other basically. Here we going like the comparison directly, then stat priorities for like early mid game, and I have made basically an like little disclaimer for the end game stat priority, because it heavily depends on the setup we will use, and that is the ascendancy, like the awakened ascendancy. So then like the skill tree for the early game, basically how you can set the things up. And keep in mind, I actually forgot to add this. So in the early game, you will have 4 more points from the overall completing normal difficulty. So you will end up with like 4 points more. So you can basically add them up in battle orders, I would suggest, or even in Short of the Ancients, depends on what you need actually. So yeah. Then mid-game skill tree section, same as early game, and the same for the end game. Basically, the next one is the gearing in general. So here I like made a little list for normal and nightmare items. I like really think they are fitting like best in slot if you can get your hands on them. Of course, if you're just playing the game, guys, you will find items, weapons, armor pieces, whatever. Just equip what you will find. But if you can get your hands on these, or like gamble them even, like for example this early game helmet, the obsidian, I really like, because it gives like very good resistances. Like the max resistances is not needed early game, it's clear, but the resistance overall, some life, some defense, is really good. For nightmare, the vial of steel is also very nice. It gives us a ton of strength, which basically gives us more damage. And of course I have added some rune words. So like unique, normal, nightmare version, and rune words for like every gear piece. So basically like helmets, body armor. Here we have glove, belt, boots, rings, and amulets. And that's covered up. And like I would say the most important thing, like weapons. For normal and especially, or I would say actually from Nightmare, sorry, because this is a Nightmare weapon. You just try to get the Justica Militari. It's a two-handed hammer, which has a ton of damage, and you can upgrade it even to Elite version. It's an exceptional base. So the Elite version has like way more damage, and it really, really is a very strong weapon to farm players 8 Naraku and whatnot. So it's doable with it, no problem. So try to get it. Or what you can also try to get is the Thor's hammer, which I will show you just in a minute. And yeah, and here I have made the disclaimer. Keep in mind, the thing for Blade Master, I will remove this because the last 2 weeks I basically like made theory crafting and min-maxing around Blade Master to compare Blade Master with this Ascendancy, with the Awakened. And it basically showed me that the Awakened Ascendancy is far better than the Blade Master. Surely the Blade Master is giving us more damage, like in this early state of the endgame, because it gives us a lot of enhanced weapon damage based on physical resist and some other stats like leech and whatnot. But the problem, which Blade Master has obviously, is that if you min-max onto it, you will barely reach the damage cap of 83,000, or I think like something like this. So it's not really depending on like the paper damage, but it's like the real damage you do per hit. So you need to know that Thunderstrike has those lightning trails, and those lightning trails, like each one is dealing its full damage, right? And each one is dealing like full physical damage converted to lightning. So each one benefits from Deadly Strike and Crushing Blow. Very important to know. So each trail does like this paper damage you guys just see here. And the like damage I just write here down is the real damage, not the paper damage. Like, you guys can correct me because I'm not really sure if it's also the paper damage or like real damage where you need to calculate it with like a weapon damage calculator or whatnot. But it somehow is true because on my next video you will see my main barb, which has like way more damage, and when like going above like 100k top end damage, Thunderstrike, and like 90k plus, I actually see not my damage going higher. So my damage basically stays the same, and that gives me like the solution. Okay, around these numbers is the damage cap, and it doesn't make any sense to go way higher. So with Blade Master, you will reach the damage cap very soon because it gives us a shit ton of damage. So what do? We would have the option to go like with the Ascendancy, which gives us life, I think based on attributes or something like this, right? So you can stack like a lot life, which is a very good option like for every melee class-based build in Eastern Sun Resurrected, I would say. But the Awakened Ascendancy has a very good point because we're gaining all skills for every 1000 attributes. What does this mean? Basically, our Thunderstrike has the bonus that it gains additional lightning trails per 20 levels. What does this mean? If you max out Strength of the Ancients, you will get +1 trail. So, very good. From now there, every 20 level of Thunderstrike you will get one lightning trail more. So basically, I can show you this, guys, quickly. Let me, like you just saw before, we have like 5, right? At like skill level 52. Hello, actually 4, sorry. So we pre-buff here, right? Now look at my skill level, 63, and we are at 5. So basically every 20 skill level, so 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, you will have one lightning trail more, which ends up at +8 at skill level 120. So my idea of this build with the Awakened Ascendancy was getting to 120 plus skill level and going near the damage cap, or like at damage cap, sitting around there, like, so that we deal like the maximum amount of damage. Because again, each lightning trail does its own full damage, not all together. So your damage is not separated between, like, let's say you have 8 trails, right? And you deal 20k damage. So you do not deal like 1/8 of 28 of with 20,000 damage, right? So what would this be like? Something like, I don't know. I think like, let's say between 2 and 3,000 damage. Let's say 2,500. I'm too lazy to calculate, right? So that is not the case, guys. So the case basically is each trail, like each individual lightning trail does the full 20k damage. And that's the big part. And that's the reason why we are trying to get as much lightning trails as possible. Since every lightning trail is dealing its own full damage with like the paper damage we have in the character sheet. So my idea was getting to 120 plus, and of course benefit from the huge plus all skills like soft points for my iron skin, for my close combat, more damage, guys, for my war cries, you know. So if I remove this one, you can see I'm losing 30 skill levels, which is quite a lot. And more skill levels basically mean more attributes overall, since we need to stack all attributes. And I went the strategy to stack all attributes at the same time, so all 4 basically. So I'm going with all attribute stacking. This will end up with a lot of life, guys. We have a lot of attack rating, good defense, good damage. Energy doesn't matter actually. So yeah, how do we achieve this? We will need gear with all attributes, and this gear I'm showing you now is the best in slot gear for this build variant. There is not a single one, in my opinion, which works better for the early endgame. So we will need Steel Rend. The reason I went with those, they're adding huge damage and a lot of strength, like a lot, which is insane. Like, we gaining a lot of damage and a lot of strength itself. So very good for attribute stacking. The weapon, guys, Breath of the Dying, simple Giga Chat weapon. Nothing to explain a lot here, I would say. It gives us a shit ton of attributes, which we need. Get your Zord rune, guys. Best case would be an ethereal base, because it makes the weapon indestructible, and that's very important. The next one is the Harlequin's Crest, an LOD Kupor unique with 2 sockets. Guys, it can roll up to 50% bonus to all attributes. It gives us a lot of life, physical resist, some magic find, and all skills on top. And I have made actually 2 sockets here with 2 new runes, which is giving us 70 attributes on top. So 1 rune gives us 35. Like, check this out. And basically, we can actually, here it is. Like, the Shaco is giving me +4 to all skills because of the Ascendancy, right? So, and how this works, if you guys are curious, you gain 1 all skill for every 1000 attributes. So let's say you gain, I'm having 4164 strength, like. If I'm having like 1000 more, I'm getting 1 skill. Or if this 1000 is like on my all 4 attributes, so like 250 on each, is a total of 1k. So that's the reason I'm going with all attributes, because I tried to stack just strength, which is like the most reliable stat actually in the game, I find out, to stack as high as possible. Vitality is also possible, but strength can go way higher, because you can use something like Giant Skull. What was the unique name? I think. Let me check. This one, yeah. Like, look at this. It gives us like a shit ton of strength and 3 sockets, and something like steel rent and whatnot. So there are a lot of items which gives us a lot of strength, and I ended up with like 40,000 strength plus, like no problem. And there wasn't even dragon stoning all my gear to the min max. But it was a lot of damage, sure, but all my other stats basically lagged. So I didn't have much life, attack rating, and much defense. So I was like, okay, this cannot work out. Because if you guys want to farm players 8 T5 maps, you need to have a lot of life and defense. Of course, compared with resistances, because you can deal as much damage as you want. We are a melee based class, and this mod really is, in terms of damage against the player, I would say, in my opinion, at the number 1 spot compared to mods like Median XL. Median XL itself is also quite a hard mod, but the monster damage there is not the same as like here, I would say. I played a lot of Median XL, so I think I can make the comparison between these two. And Eastern Sun in this case is way harder and like way faster with the monster attacks and stuff and animations, which is not like a problem. This is not the thing I want to say, but just a comparison, you know. So we need a very high life pool and, of course, quite a lot defense just to tank these monster hits, because the physical resist a lot will not save us. This is just the thing in Eastern Sun at the moment. So we need to get defense and life as high as possible. Again, Steel Rend, Breath of the Dying, Shaco. Here I'm using the Barbarian's Amulet. For the real end game, it's the Mara's Kaleidoscope, which we will compensate the loss of maximum resistances with a GG crafted rare belt. I will come to this just in a moment. So it gives us again just some stats, but we would use mainly it for the 5 maximum resistances, because otherwise we just have quite low resists. Then we're using Double Zodiac. These are like must-have best in slot rings, plus 3 skills you need, guys, and a high percentage attributes. The fun fact here actually is I have not forged like 6 or 7 pieces of my gear with attributes. You guys maybe know this. You can, let me quickly show you this. You guys can forge specific rune stats to items. So basically, the 35 attributes from this rune you can forge on top of the item itself. So this amulet would not have 39, but with the rune forging it would actually have 84, right? So if 39 plus 35 is 84. So I'm missing quite some attributes actually, but I'm too lazy to forge now, just for showcase purpose now. So again, Double Zodiac, guys, best in slot. I have Dragonstone resistances here on both, because you need quite a lot of resistances in maps, since monsters having the reduces player resistances attack stuff thing, I think it was called. Like, if they attack you, you will gain a resist debuff, and there are sometimes those mages which reduces your resistances even further with lower resist debuff, right? So you need roughly 350 plus, I would say. 400 plus is very good. Like, I'm actually above 400 everywhere, so it's fine. Then we're using Waterwalk. Again, same story, percent attributes. Gives us a lot of vitality, guys, and max resistances. Best in slot boots. Just try to get these. They are the way to go. Next one is the belt. It isn't actually that hard to get a decent one, but this one is, I would say, very nice, since it has percentage strength and flat strength itself. 25% and it had flat strength itself, since my strength is at 62 and the other attributes are at 35. It also rolled with some life and 2 maximum resistances, guys. This can get up to plus 3. And now comes the clue. You can corrupt and anoint this belt, and it can go up to plus 10 at maximum, which I will show you in the next video. So, and the armor, guys, is the hardest one to get, of course. Tyrell's Might. Best in slot, shit armor, no comment. Cannot be frozen. Maximum life increase. Bonus to all attributes. Huge, huge, huge. So it can't get better. This is the gear to use for the early end game, and on Switch we're using Call to Arms with Abaddon Runeward for the Shade Armor, and I really recommend you guys to use Radiance with Divinity, since it gives us way more plus skills to boost our shouts and our Shade Armor. Let me check, let me show you this. Like 69, right? 67. Now watch this. 61. 83. So you see, we actually got there, like, got plus 60 skill levels on Battle Orders, guys. Plus 60. With just Divinity on Switch as Aura on right click and the Shouts and Shade Armor on left click, guys. So you can see it is like plus 40 skill level on Shade Armor. So really use your Radiance, guys, till your skills are at level 130 capped. It is possible with this build, but just make a quick swap, guys. Have it in your inventory. It just takes you 1 minute, guys. It is worth the switch because it boosts our our defense layers and resistances even further. And of course our skill levels, because yeah, the battle command gives us more skill level. So, that was the quick briefing over the guide, over the endgame gearing. So basically, yeah, Breath of the Dying, Steel Rend, Double Zodiac, Rare Belt, Tyrell's Might, Harlequin's Crest, Barbarian Amulet, Water Walk. The skill retribution, pretty simple, as in the written guide, guys. Maxed out battle orders, maxed out close combat, Thunder Strike, Storm of the Old Gods, 1 point wonder everywhere else. And combat skills, later we will use 1 point in Concentrate, because Concentrate with the huge all skills, guys, we will end up with like skill level 100 plus plus. It gives us a very good defense, because it basically boosts our defense by quite a lot, and physical resists, which has like a 30 plus second duration, which is really, really good, guys. So every 30 seconds, hit with Concentrate and you get a nice defense boost. So I will show you guys Players 5 D5 map showcase with this one. It's quite some expensive endgame gearing for sure, but it's the way to go if you want to min-max this build and like go Players 8 speed farm and kill the bosses in like 10 seconds. It requires a lot of playing and a lot of Dragonstone and Maple Leaf farming and shit and whatnot, but it really works out. Also, which I need to add, is the third tier of the Awakened Ascendancy. It's giving us flat Elemental Absorb and defense based on attributes. So in the end, we end up with like a lot of defense, like really, really high, because the fourth tier is giving us a lot of flat absorb and again a lot of defense. So let me check what map we can go. Yeah, let's go Reliquary of False Light. Think this can work out. So we are at Players 5. You can see the damage is pretty good. There isn't much difference in Players 8 actually. You see my defense? Also, I would recommend guys at walking, because when you run, your defense is basically 0. Oh, and I actually forgot one item to show you guys. Like this was a good example. I was like standing in the middle and they got attacked like with all this animation and attacks and my life dropped pretty fast. So imagine I would run with Blade Master. With Blade Master I would have been dead like here 100%. Blade Master setup would lead me up to like I think 10 to 50,000 life and not more. So that's the thing. One thing I had to forget is the charm. Sorry guys, is the angel. It is required to have this charm for resistances and teleport. Teleport is our engage, but also our disengage. So this means basically defense layer. You just saw me here like in the middle of the pack, right? What I have done, I basically teleported to the left, did a little quite of recover, used some healing potions, and then went in again. So you can use it to engage, but also to get away. Like just watch here. Like I can go back, positioning myself again, and go in. It will be that you would be needed to drink some potions, especially in the early end game, since we cannot heal really. Mostly in the end game, the real end game, we can heal ourselves, but this will require a high level of iron skin with the all skills. So the single target is very high on this build. Actually, can try to kill Lucian. I'm curious myself if this works out. I personally think this will not be possible, honestly. But we will see.
How may I be of help?
Later on we will have so much life that we can easy AFK in the middle of packs. You will see this in the next video and like do our thing. I think we can a little bit fight more here. So this is a good example of getting overwhelmed, like right? So if I wouldn't have the teleport, I would be dead. I think I would be dead actually. So having teleport is really important to get yourself out of dangerous situations. So players 5 with this setup is doable, very good. Sure, we need to drink quite a lot of potions, but I think that the fact that we are a melee class build and not range is like the compensation of like, okay, we need to drink quite some potions, but that's it.
Hello.
You could work actually with the what was it called? Life on Striking. And the thing is, Breath of the Dying also has it. So Life on Striking really does also a very good job of sustaining, because maybe you sometimes saw I would have been dead even with drinking potions, but my life suddenly went up quite fast and again went down. That is because the Life on Striking is working very good with Thunderstrike, since each trail is benefiting from the Life on Striking on top. So let's see how we do against Lucian. I think we will die, honestly. Yeah, I think this. So, the damage he's dealing. Yeah, so he is very tough, and the only thing what you can really do against him is actually either kill him as fast as possible or get killed. Later on, with like better gear, you will see how we will crush him in players 8 with like 10 seconds. And also because of the Awakened Ascendancy, guys. Because the 4 tier basically is giving us a shit ton of defense and a lot of flat elemental absorb. So I recommend you guys farming up to, I would say, T3 or T4 maps and killing the bosses till you have your T4, like your 4th tier of the Ascendancy. And if you have the 4th tier actually reached, then you can go and farm higher players count on T5 maps and kill the bosses. Like you just saw, farming is possible with like T3 just basically, and not the T4 upgrade at players 5 even. But it is a little bit tricky with the teleporting, life sustaining. Damage is very, very good, and at this state, more than enough, basically. But the sustain is still not very good, even with 24k life and whatnot. But again, the next video, guys, I will show you the full optimized endgame setup, and you will see the difference between this one and the other one, with basically T4 actually achieved. So we gain flat elemental absorb and defense, and min-maxing with dragon stoning, maple leafing, forging, and whatnot. Thanks for watching, guys, and yeah, see you in the next video. Bye.